can with my collection of alternative recipes that will help me to live compassionately and healthily. My name's Emma and this is Rainbow Chef. So today I'm going to be showing you a couple of recipes, but to start with, the main ingredient that we're going to need for the second recipe I'm going to make right now because we need that beforehand, and that is almond milk. So what we need to start with is a food processor or a blender. And first thing you're going to need is about 70 grams of whole almonds. I'm making about 400 millilitres of almond milk here, so you're going to need about 70 grams of whole almonds with the skins on, that's fine. They're going to pop into our food processor along with about a quarter of a teaspoon of sea salt, I'd say. I'm just going to put a little bit in there. Okay, and then I've got in here 400 millilitres of fresh cold water. My almonds have been soaking overnight for about 12 hours, so you're going to get a really nice creamy almond milk. The longer you leave it to sit, the creamier almond milk will be. So I'm going to pop a little bit of the water in, about half. And then we need to blend this until we get a rough consistency. So this will take a few moments. Now halfway in between blending, just check that you've got all of the almonds from the sides of the processor. Let's grab my spatula. And then we're going to start blending, but what you need to do whilst blending is gradually add the rest of the water. So let's put my spatula there. Let's stop and just take a look to make sure our mixture's smooth. It's looking good. It's going to give it a couple more seconds. It'll probably take about a minute to 2 minutes, depending on obviously how smooth you want your almond milk, and then I'll show you the next stage. Right, that's all finished. Right, so the next thing you need to do, with the jug that you put your water in, is take a muslin cloth or a cheesecloth, and you can buy these very easily online, or in any good sort of health food shop might sell them, supermarket, really easy to get hold of. And then just scrape any remainder of almond into the liquid, back into the bowl of your processor or blender. Just pop that to one side. Okay, and then what you need to do with your cloth over the top of your jug is just carefully pour the ingredients of the almond and the water mixture into the cloth. Carefully not to splash yourself, I've done that so many times. And just scrape the rest. You'll notice it will go a little bit sort of bubbly, which is normal. The times I've made this, if I ever make a cake, I always make almond milk, because then you just make what you need, which is ideal. Scrape as much as you possibly can out there. Right, let's stick that to one side. thing, all you've got to do now, this is the last stage of the process, is you're going to squeeze all of the liquid from the muslin cloth, so just left with the almond pulp, which is also known as Okara. So just very carefully squeeze all that out, so you end up with a lovely, smooth, creamy mixture. This will take a little bit of time. You're probably a lot stronger than I am. It takes me a little while. That's it. There we go. And that is the almond milk completed. That's all there is to it. It is such a simple thing to make, it's ridiculous. And then what you end up with is all the pulp in this little muslin bag. Now this doesn't need to go to waste, don't ever waste it. You can put this in biscuits, cakes, savoury recipes. It's fabulous stuff, never waste it. Nothing goes to waste when you make almond milk. And any other nut milk is made pretty much the same way, depending on the type of nuts that you use. Most of them are soaked overnight in water, and then you just blend them, and it's always 1 part nuts to 2 parts water, and that's the best way to remember how to make it. And obviously the creamier you want your milk, the more nuts you're going to add and the longer you're going to soak it for. So I like to make it as creamy as possible because it's fabulous for the recipes that I like to use, usually cakes. So that's our almond milk, as you can see, and that's completed. And I'll be back shortly to show you what we're going to pop this in for our next recipe, so I'll see you soon. Hello and welcome back to the main part of our recipe, where today we are going to be making a Mediterranean roasted vegetable tray bake. So let's start. So you know that almond milk that we made on the first part of the video, where we're going to be using that in this recipe. The first thing you need to do is add 1 teaspoon of fresh lemon juice to your almond milk. And what this does is it will curdle, which is normal. And this acts as the raising stage of the cooking process in a plant-based cake. So just whisk that together and just let it rest while we do the rest of the recipe. So in my bowl I'm going to add 200 grams of plain flour, which equates to about 1 1/3 cups. And then we've got 2 teaspoons of baking powder and 3/4 of a teaspoon of baking soda. We're going to sift those into our mixing bowl. This will just allow the cake to be nice and light and prevent any pockets of flour forming in the mixture. So that's all done. Just pop that to one side. Now I've got some quite interesting ingredients, as you'll see as we go along. So this one we've got about 1/2 teaspoon of sea salt. That's going to go in with our flour. We've got some nutritional yeast. I've got 3 tablespoons here, and this gives a nice cheesy savoury flavour. So that's all going to go in as well. I've then got 1 teaspoon of paprika, smoked paprika, and 1/2 teaspoon of dried garlic powder. Let's grab. And then I'm going to add 1 to 2, I'd say 1 tablespoon of just dried mixed herbs. You can use Italian ones if you like, any sort. 1 tablespoon. Perfect. And then just whisk all these ingredients together and make sure they're all mixed in carefully. them to be very well combined here. Right, now our milk's all curdled, and I'll just give you a little nosy if you can see. It doesn't look particularly pleasant at the moment, but this is where the magic happens. So we're going to pour the milk mixture into the flour mixture. I'm also going to add 1/3 of a cup of vegetable oil. In that goes. And then we're just going to whisk this until the ingredients are just combined. You don't want to over mix because you'll end up with an elasticy cake. You also end up beating all the air out of it, so you need to just make sure the ingredients are all combined, no pockets of flour forming. Smelling amazing already. Right, that's done. Right, our next ingredient. Now in my bowl I've got 1/4 of roasted yellow pepper. I've also got about 1 small onion and just a little bit of courgette. Just a little chunk of it, and I've roasted those up with some sun-dried tomato, the dried kind, which you soak in water. Those are really easy to find in the supermarkets. So I've popped all of those in here, and that is now going to go into the wet ingredients. Like so. Now you're going to get a large mixing spoon. Something like this one is perfect. What this is going to do, we're going to fold the vegetables into the mixture, and this will add air. So just very gradually. You don't want too many vegetables, you'll end up just making a big mushy mess. It won't cook. So that's why we haven't got too much in here. That's it. And that is all done. And then I've got about a 30cm glass dish here, which we're going to pour our mixture into. So just very carefully, you don't want to lose any air. And just with a spatula, just pour the bake mixture in. I've also got a few more roasted vegetables left over as well, so if you've got any left over, I just like to scatter those on the top. Not too many, because otherwise it prevents the cake from rising. You just want a few scattered, just as decoration really. And there we have it. I would show you, but it will drip everywhere, so we're going to pop the wet mixture now into the oven, preheated oven, about 175 degrees for fan oven, about 200 degrees for a gas oven, maybe a little less, depends on the oven that you use. So I'm going to pop that in now, and we're going to bake that for about 40 minutes. Just check in between baking towards the end with this skewer to see if it comes out clean, and if it is, then that will be cooked. you want it to be golden brown and smelling delicious. So we'll do that now. And that's the end of the first stage. I'll come back and show you the end result of this recipe, and the kitchen is smelling amazing already. So I'll be back soon. Bye. Well, I'm excited to say I've just taken our roasted vegetable tray bake out of the oven and it's smelling amazing. So I'll just show you the end result. So it's all lovely and golden brown. So I'm just about to test it and just see if it's cooked through with my knife. Just put it in the middle and it's come out clean, which means it's cooked. And we've just got to leave that now to cool completely before we take it out of the dish, ready to slice up. So that is the end of this recipe. I hope you enjoyed it and I really hope you give it a go. You can find this recipe over on my blog, which is rainbow-chef.blogspot.co.uk. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!